Cool. Good morning or afternoon to y'all.
I have 2 more minutes of morning.
Okay.
I'm savoring it.
You must be in the central time zone with me.
It's the only time zone that matters.
There you go. Well, it's funny because you often have to go backwards and forwards to figure stuff out. I always go forward.
When I'm in Eastern time zone, I can never do the calculations when I live there. When I'm in Central, I'm regularly moving things around, which means I can remember which way to go. So that's why it's the most important one.
Yeah. I had a meeting with someone in London this morning, and then I've got New Zealand tomorrow. So I have a helper. I have this little figure out your time zone thing, which is very, very helpful. Hey, John, what's up? Look at you riding
Morning.
through space. Hey. Very cool. Got a few minutes. We'll give people. So you guys can tell. Oh, this is a good angle too. Look at my werewolf shirt. This is the perfect spot. And so if anyone's going to Perk, my intention is to bring as much werewolf swag as I possibly can. So I have told the powers that be that make and create and provide the swag. I said, I'm going to need a lot. That's probably a good thing to announce here too. What's up?
Did you send out updates to the time, the BOF time? I didn't see those in all the Slack, so you may want to mention that.
So what I did is I changed the original one where I crossed out the old time and put in a new time, and then added another little thing like, hey, note there's been a time change. Did it not?
Painful experience says that doesn't work.
Okay. We need an entirely fresh post.
But also painful experience says you must update the original one because people will read that one first.
Yes. Okay. So both. So the original one has been updated to, might as well just go look right now. Let me go look right now and confirm that. Yes. So you know what? This is being recorded, and we will put it on the our YouTube channel. So just in case, I think you guys can probably see this. Yes. Let's see.
Yes.
Make you smaller. How do I make you smaller? Here you go. Yes. So original post, old time is crossed out, new time is in. Yes. So that is a very good point. Thank you, Tim. I'll make another post. And yeah, across the different ones. So I think I put it in OpenHPC as well. Yeah, same thing. I don't think I did anything in the Park Slack. Okay. Yeah, so what we're talking about is the Birds of a Feather. Our werewolf BOF at Perk this year is going to be on Wednesday, 1:30 Central Time, room 200C. So that's going to be awesome. And then the OpenHPC one is a couple hours before that. You guys are at 11, right? Same room, Tim? Yeah.
I think so. No, I think it's a different room, but it's earlier, the OpenHPC one.
I thought Chuck said it was the same room. I think it's the same room, 200C, right?
I am not going to guess since we're being recorded.
That's
more painful experience.
Oh man. Yes. I totally hear you. Let's see.
Yes, I have the OpenHPC BOF from 11 a.m. to 12 o'clock local time, which is Central Time, in 200A.
Oh, A, you're in A. Okay, we're in C.
So it'll be different. I believe the C was in reference that the updated room was not changed. It was only the time. So it was previously scheduled for the same time, and the Perk folks were able to accommodate us and split us apart. So it was a little oversight on their part. So we were able to let them know that there would be a lot of overlap. So come see OpenHPC. We won't be talking all the time, or we won't be talking a lot about Warewulf like we did last year, but there'll be updates to how Warewulf is used in OpenHPC. And then tell your friends to go there if they're interested in OpenHPC, and then they can learn more in the Warewulf BOF.
Yep. And again, the Warewulf BOF will be at 1:30 on Wednesday at Perk, room 200C. And all of that information should be updated on the app and stuff when you get to Perk. So it'd be really good to see you all there. Hope you're all coming. And I will hopefully have enough Warewulf swag for everybody. I think these t-shirts, this is like the older one, but we'll have some other things. Okay, well, thank you guys for being here. We're a few minutes after right now, so we will get started. I will just share my screen here so that we can kind of all get on the same page. We'll do a little slideshow. That's always good, right? Yeah, so today we don't have a specific topic or presentation. It is Wednesday, June 10th. It is so if it's June, I think we started these in December, if I remember correctly. So this has got to be like what, our 7th WUG? Very cool. So today's going to be a catch up and check in. So if you got something that you want to share, you've got some questions, very happy to be here and answer any of those. Well, I probably won't, but Tim can. Jonathon is in another meeting, but he's going to pop back in and he can talk a little bit about updates and things of that nature. My name is Rose Stein. Nice to meet you. Hello, everybody. Thanks for being here. Community manager. So basically, hopefully I remind people of stuff. That's my job. And then, of course, you guys, the pack here. Always want to have a big thank you to the team members here, the technical steering committee, who kind of keeps things going and in direction. Just as a reminder, they are very responsive and open to what it is that you need or you want to see in Warewulf. So thank you, Greg Kurtzer, for creating Warewulf to begin with. Jonathon Anderson is our technical steering committee lead. And then also on the committee is Christian Gall, Timothy Middlecoop, and Jeremy Seidel. So thank you again for your guys' work. We all know that none of these guys are getting paid for this. So thank you so much for your time and your energy and keeping Warewulf going strong. Just so you know, the technical steering committee meetings are open to anybody. I go, so you are welcome to come. Those are on the first and third Wednesdays of the month via Zoom. They're also recorded and put on our YouTube channel if you wanted to kind of check out kind of what it's about, what it's like, and what the team is up to. We have a Slack channel, which most of you guys are in. We now have 699 members, which is very cool. When I updated this just a few minutes ago, it was at 688 last month. So we are growing. We have a YouTube channel as well, just like I said. So this will be up on there. We didn't record the first few, which was kind of a bummer now looking back, but that's okay. We decided that we wanted to start recording the WUGs. If ever that is a problem for you and you'd rather not, you are the community. So just let me know and we'll stop recording. We won't post it. No big deal. We also have a Blue Sky account and then also an X account. So you can find us there. Cool. Okay. Well, that is just the basic gist of Warewulf and where we are at right now. I think I can probably stop sharing. Here we go. And get back to the group. Hey, guys.
So,
cool. Yeah, this is your time. Yeah, go ahead.
So to kick things off, I have a couple things on top of mind for Warewulf. We have the latest raft of security updates, and I've done a round of 9.8 and 10.2 updates. Rocky Linux has not posted new container images yet, so I've been kind of waiting on that, but Alma Linux has. So if you want to test those, you can check out the Slack, and you can see those images there. The other thing is that in the works, I just saw the PR hit yesterday or today for Debian support in Rocky. So we'll be able to install it, Debian and Ubuntu, install it directly from a Debian package. So if you grab the latest main branch on Git, you can try that out and create those packages there. So if you have experience building packages, please go ahead and test those so that we can make sure that it gets released without bugs or with fewer bugs. And I see Ian there. Hopefully, Ian, you've done some testing.
Yes, tell us about it, Ian.
Uh, I haven't recently, but I plan on diving back into it. Um, yeah, there's been some interesting stuff with some bits and bobs, but it could also just be my environment that I can blow away and rebuild. I need to go look at the packaging stuff that Jonathon posted and give my 2 cents.
The other thing is I put some controversial things into the Debian Slack on which network management stack we should use. I know I at least have one person in my camp for systemd.networkd, so
Which would be me.
yes, we can have a flame war on that if y'all want to. No flame wars. Everyone loves network manager. Yeah, just as a reminder, you can select which network stack you're using, your nodes use fairly easily by just turning the appropriate overlays on or off or whatever you have installed in the nodes. So in some sense, the default is just kind of what the newbie folks will get. And we probably maybe should think that in mind. So take that in consideration when we select a default. Ian, do you find that the systemd network D does the right thing most of the time? I know I like to use Network Manager for my laptops because I just want it to work right. I'm not doing static things and have multiple interfaces. Do you find it does the right thing most of the time, or do you have to coach it to do the right thing?
I find systemd works fine. When I use NetPlan, it pulls in systemd as far as I have to double check my configs. And I've done some pretty complicated networking. I've never really run into any issues, but that's what testing is for. So
Yeah. Do you think NetPlan adds a decent amount of value in terms of maybe determining which interface names and things get configured? Because I think it does a little bit of the front end stuff.
Mhm.
Um, do you
I
think it
just
adds value?
I think it does. NetPlan has, for starters, it's very easy to use. It's very straightforward, and it is really powerful. There's a lot of cool things you can do within NetPlan in a single file to do some really wacky, extravagant networking. That's one of the things I've been looking into is pulling in more checks into the templates to see how extreme I can go. I mean, it handled trunking right right away, or I should say, well, yeah. I mean, it multiple interfaces. It can handle routing, like multiple routes through the same interface. Um,
I've noticed it has some pretty decent support when it
yeah.
comes to all the options in systemd network D. Like a lot of them will just drill
Mhm.
straight down into there.
Yep.
So I think that's a bonus.
Yeah.
Uh,
Bonding network. Bonding the interfaces worked like smooth as silk.
I
Uh,
haven't looked at what the Werewolf's like only implementation for systemd network D. Do we do that? Do you know?
I don't think so. I'd have to go look at all the overlays.
Because suddenly I got little shivers thinking about having to split up those files, between the NetDev and the network interfaces. And I
Mhm.
mean, it's great for stability when you're talking about compute nodes, but it's a little bit annoying to create easily and quickly. So I guess that's where NetPlan really shines.
Mhm.
Do I have to resort to Emacs versus VI to get folks to talk?
You know, I mean, it's like sometimes no news is good news, right? Like if there's a million questions, but also, I mean, sometimes also what happens, I think maybe is that you like maybe you don't even know what to ask. I think that's why the presentations have been really cool. You know what I mean? The
Yeah.
last several months is it's like, oh gosh, I didn't even really think about that, or I didn't even realize that, you could do that, or that was an issue, or something like that. So, but yeah, I mean, if anyone has a question about what they're doing or what's like the best way to do it, I mean, I assume that everyone's running Werewolf and that it's going smoothly, but I mean, actually, something I heard the other day, one of our customers at CIQ, he was saying that the most recent issues with all those CVEs that have been going on in the Linux, like enterprise Linux world, there's been like 4 kind of major ones just in the last month. And he said that, having Werewolf has been really helpful in making sure that, everything gets, patched and updated. So, I mean, I think I understand what he's saying, but maybe it'd be cool if one of you guys want to like explain what he meant by that. Like how and why would Werewolf help in those sorts of situations?
Well, obviously it makes it easier to compose a new image with a patched kernel or whatever and push it out rather quickly. But in our case, with a lot of those CVEs, the fixes weren't readily available with kernel patches or whatever, at least in the ported EL kernels. So we were actually writing some BPF stuff to alternatively mitigate it, basically just like deny the access when it occurred and also log it. And that was really easy to push out with like overlays in Werewolf. So, even beyond the fact that you can just recompose an image relatively quickly, it also makes it easy to, you know, do the things that you want Werewolf to do, like rapidly distribute configuration to a bunch of nodes and etc.
Yeah, again, if you've been using Werewolf for a while, it seems like obvious and simple, but maybe it's because of my job too. People go, well, what's Werewolf? And I'm like, well, let me explain what it can do, and how it can do it. So yeah, I appreciate that, Shane. Thank you.
So how would you do stage deployment and testing in the Werewolf when you're using Werewolf? Do you create like a testing profile and have a couple nodes join that and have it tested there? Or how do you manage that sort of rollout, especially when you're in a, oh my goodness, we need to fix this now kind of situation?
We're fortunate enough that we have a small test deployment that I can, pretty rapidly break if necessary, and, iterate on. So that's good. But yeah, if I didn't have that, I'd probably, create some test overlays, which we do have some test overlays, test profiles, assign a couple nodes to that and then go about it. But at least in the case with like the BPF stuff, most of what we were doing was relatively minor, just like we'd have the actual like BPF executable thrown either on like a share and luster somewhere, and then just like the config files for systemd and stuff for starting it handled out through the overlays. So the chance of that, causing any significant issue is pretty low. But, of course, we still did test.
So does that include a test Werewolf instance as well? Or
Well, not really like Werewolf, I guess, specific, just, Werewolf was the mechanism by which it was deployed. But yeah, it's actually really funny because I was looking into using BPF for other things, like incidentally about the first time that first local privilege exploit came around. We keep having issues with people running particularly heavy applications on like the login nodes or whatever, things like, VS Code's remote mess and Claude code, et cetera, et cetera. And I was writing a thing using BPF's LSM hooks to disallow that. And then that came along. I'm like, oh, that's very, very germane. Most of those, it was relatively easy to target or like come up with a BPF thing to target them, but some things not so much. Like the more recent one that involved the CIFS kernel module and CIFS upcall, I wasn't at least able to relatively quickly come up with a way to differentiate potentially exploit-based behavior from normal use of like CIFS upcall on our data transfer node, for example. But the alternative mitigation, that one was just disallow user namespaces, and we don't really need user namespaces on the data transfer node, so not a big deal.
Something interesting to add. You're not going to get, I see a lot of people joining who are in the similar boat to me, a lot of members of a specific company, DST, who's joining. All of us are noobs. We have no idea what we're doing, and we are looking into Warewulf as a replacement for Bright. So we're just here to absorb more Warewulf information and start looking at the community and whatnot. Because after reviewing cluster managers, we manage a couple different clusters in a service model. Um, Warewulf seems to be the best, so we like it. We like what you're doing, so we're learning, but we don't actually have it deployed on production on a cluster yet. So none of us are going to have many questions because we haven't done it yet.
I'm sure you could come up with some questions.
Nothing
I
that
guess
hasn't been answered by documentation. The documentation is pretty good so far.
that's good. Play with it. You'll get a good feeling of how it operates. There's not a GUI, but that's not necessarily a downside. I think CIQ has a GUI. I'm not sure what state it's in, but everything, in my opinion, feels like a sysadmin. It feels like how a sysadmin would build it.
Right.
So I think you can guess how things work once you kind of get into it fairly easily.
Yeah, so far in testing, we like it a lot. We've got a student cluster coming up that is more of a test bed for us than anything else. So we're going to be putting it there first and then porting it out to other clients. I guess if I did have a question, the way that I understand we have some clients that are very basic. We've got 40 compute nodes and they're all the same except for some minor differences, and you can handle that with overlays. But what about when you have a cluster, say it's 10 machines, and they're all wildly different for some abhorrent reason? Is the right approach to just make different configurations for every single node? Because it almost feels like right now we have that managed by Ansible, and it's a little horrifying. It's a bit of a mess.
So what do you mean about by configurations?
They all have entirely different hardware. Some of them are entirely different form factors. One of them's outside the rack. It's a mess.
Now, do you mean internal configurations? Because they might look semi uniform. Because remember, Warewulf, one of the nice things in Warewulf, there's two parts of Warewulf. There's the provisioning part, and then there's the overlays. And those
Right.
kind of could be separated because you could use Warewulf and deploy Ansible on top of it if you wanted to. But the nice thing about the overlays is that you can apply templates and you can apply them selectively. Like, so if you don't have a single node that looks the same, then you would have maybe a base profile with very minimal things in it, and then
Right.
you would apply some of the things to it. But in general, you're going to use like one of the network stacks. You're going to have NFS, those types of things.
Right.
It's just you'll have to figure out what's going on there. The nice thing is that you can leverage the templating capabilities, and even if you have to, like, not hard code, but tag specific nodes with specific tags, you can condition those in the overlay itself, right? So you could say, oh, for the nodes that have this stupid kind of card, it might only be one of them. You can do this, that, and the other. But in general, it kind of should just work in terms of a hardware perspective and a booting perspective.
Okay. Yeah, so far we've only tested it in environments where things are very similar. Because trying to get Bright working in environments where every single node is different was rough. It's a bit rough. But
I
it looks
guess
like Werewolf might be able to handle that a little bit better. We're just not sure yet.
the hardest part would be, I think, in the partitioning part of it, right? And since they're all separate, you might get lazy and just well, no, it takes care of itself if you're only doing like the in-memory stuff. So if your nodes have enough RAM, which they probably do, then you just do, you're just provisioning to RAM, right? And that gets rid of all the complexities of multiple drives, this, that, and the other. And then you can use post boot, which is a great place to be in. You can use the overlays just to create the systemd mount D overlays and unit files to create those swap files or a local temp or something like that. That's not in the critical boot path, right? So everything's in memory. It gets rid of a ton of problems of, well, how do I deal with provisioning and things like that? And most of the complexities, in my opinion, go away when you do that.
Okay.
Our cluster is pretty varied. Like, I think we've got at least 6 different generations of hardware in there at this point. But there's still common enough where it matters. Like, there's a single InfiniBand interface. There's usually only one NVMe drive, which gets used for like scratch or swap or whatever. So yeah, just, I don't know, work around what commonalities that you can, but it usually, at least in my experience, doesn't matter.
Have you found moving to Werewolf instead of dealing with some messy, more manual provisioning worth it in that instance?
Yeah, like we had a pretty complex Ansible setup that was handling provisioning and such before that, and this is much easier to comprehend and less prone to disruptive behavior.
Okay. That's good to know. Thank you.
And one of the main core tenets is you have ephemeral nodes, right? If something goes wrong, you just reboot it and it should come back, right?
Right.
And if you're dealing with vastly different, like ARM versus Intel, or that whole V2 versus V3 split, what you can do is you can manage your base images with a container, and just import from a different hardware level, right? So you could have a base container that's V2 binaries and another one ARM binaries, and then you just lay on top of that the next container layer that installs all the software, and then just import those, and you can just set up an easy set of scripts. So when those change, they create those new images for you. But you can easily, with containers and an ability to import them, you can easily manage vastly different hardware from that perspective, where you don't want to boot one off the other, and then on top of that you apply your standard overlays.
Okay. Thank you. It's interesting.
When it comes to deal with different hardware that need different kernel models, how would you, and it's kind of like a manual laborious procedure of, say, like deploying a kernel module with DKMS on a running system, then taking it back into the image, then going back and forth until you converge at a working solution. What would be a recommended procedure for that if it exists?
Are you familiar with the fact you can execute into the container itself?
What do you mean execute?
So www control image shell, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, no, I'm not talking about like the getting into the images to fix something. No, I'm say
But
What-
you don't have a GPU on your build node, is that what you're basically saying?
Yeah. Say, so I have several nodes. Some of them are with GPUs, some of them are with different InfiniBand cards, and I'm essentially using different images to assign to the different nodes to deal with such situation. In one case, I essentially have CUDA module installed with a script when the system boots up, like by essentially using systemd. So kind of like different hooks applied in different cases. I wonder if there's kind of like a general procedure of how to deal with, say, kernel modules you may need to use on different systems. Instead of just applying like assigning different images to the different nodes, but something kind of like that can be automated easily.
I mean, if it's kernel modules, you might maybe be able to have them in an overlay, but I don't know if that's a great idea depending how large they are.
Yeah, exactly. This is what you wouldn't use overlays for.
I know some folks put their CUDA stack on NFS, right? They don't install it in the image because it makes it so large.
Yeah, but you still need nvidia.ko in
Yeah.
in your kernel, which essentially comes from the image. The kernel is picked up from the image when you do the boot. In case you need to update the say nvidia.ko, you would build it on a live system, then stick it into the image. So it would be kind of like nice to be able to actually get it some kind of like automated, not through overlays, but kind of like specifically for the modules.
Yeah, I would tend to build scripts or containers, like because you can build the containers larger, and you can build that container and install those in the container. I'll warn you, I have not had a cluster or a team for a number of years, so and then we didn't use Warewulf at the time, but that would be kind of my approach is to figure out if you can actually build them with the www control shell or in the container itself.
Okay.
And my advice to the team would be find a really cheap GPU and stick it in the Warewulf control build system, so you can install NVIDIA, right? $100 would make all your issues go away.
Our
Good idea.
process is to we just install the NVIDIA kernel module and like the very base NVIDIA libraries that you get when you install the NVIDIA driver in the image, and then the actual like userland aspect stuff for CUDA lives on an NFS mount somewhere. It's significantly larger than not. Like I think our GPU images are like 12 or 14 gigabytes or whatever, but that's not that much of a problem.
Yeah, well, yeah, right. Yeah, you would rather not to have your image to be large, otherwise it will take longer time to boot, especially for several nodes concurrently. Okay.
The only way I could think about it is if you exported your chroot image via NFS, and then you could actually run www control shell on a particular node that has that hardware if it's being very particular. But yeah, a lot of them you can install those modules without actually having the hardware involved.
Actually, good idea to use chroot. Okay, thanks.
But yeah, I've found these days most tools are aware of if they're in a chroot or not. So or a container, which www control it's more than a chroot, it's an actual container image, right? So a lot of the tools like systemd will not fail. They'll understand that they're in a container and continue to work just fine. So most of the stuff I do is I just write a script and then have a www control exec the script, and it'll go and it'll run the script. Or I use Podman or Docker to build it that way, depending on what mood I'm in.
Okay, so essentially, scripting can be done on live node and then pushed through wwctl exec.
Yeah, that would be one way. That would be one way.
Okay, got it. Yeah, good idea. Thank you.
You could take the script and then just run it that way.
Great, thank you.
Jonathan, welcome.
Thanks, Rose. I do have something that I was working on yesterday that people might be interested in. They may have seen this on Slack already, but we've kind of had a long-standing desire to have packaging for Ubuntu and Debian and whatnot. And at CIQ, we had a customer pop up that needs this, so we started working on this yesterday, or over the past few days. And we have a PR up that generated some debs that I have not yet installed on anything and tried to run Warewulf with. I've handed that off to some people that are going to check it out. But if you're interested, I would love any feedback or comments on whether those are working for you and what else you'd like to see included in them. Like if I think that there's the necessary overlays to do it without any extra additions, but if there's anything that's missing, Ian, I know this is something you've been working on as well. So if you have any feedback on the packaging also, that'd be good.
I spilled the beans earlier, so
Yeah.
try to get
Oh
Ian to-
man,
I will look
I'm
at
late.
it. I'll look at
This
it.
is what happens when you show up late.
Yeah. I also mentioned that we have PRs in the queue for updated images. And then I was going to remind folks that we don't have Rocky Linux container images yet, so we're holding on that. So
What do you mean we don't have Rocky Linux container images yet?
Rocky Linux has not published their 8.9 and 10.2 containers yet.
Oh, just the updated stuff. I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and so I've done Alma Linux for 8.9 and 10.2, and so
Rocky
any
doesn't have
testing would
8.9
be
out yet?
great for that. So.
I know. I was thinking I was going to bug them behind the scenes too, but I'll let you do it.
Well, no, I'm just going and checking some stuff first because I'm surprised by that. But another thing which Rose has told me we have not yet talked about is that we are going to be at ISC if anyone else is going to be there next week. I'll be participating in the OpenHPC provisioners BOF, similar to one that we did, I think, at Perk last year. So if you are at ISC next week, I'd love to see you there. Hope you stop by.
And I'll use that as a shameless plug. OpenHPC will be there as well. And for the new folks on the call, if you're getting used to Warewulf, there are full recipes in OpenHPC that does the entire stack. So even if you're not going to end up using OpenHPC in the end, it's a great way to get beginning to end to cluster immediately in one step that has the repos and things like that. So that also brings sort of the Bright flavor to it, right? Bright has a lot of packages associated with it. The OpenHPC stuff gives you that kind of added. So it gives you a nice framework for you to do the installs. And if you're production one, you can use the same sort of process as well, and not use it if you don't want to, or you continue to use it because it's well tested, and there's a lot of nice integrations as well.
Where is ISC this year? I think Jonathan's deep in.
It's in Hamburg, I think, pretty much every year.
Oh, it's always there. Okay. No. So I don't think I'll be going ever then. Far, far away.
So Tim, I'm looking here at Docker Hub and I'm seeing, I think you said 8.9, 8.9 here. I'll make this smaller so it's bigger, but
I think you meant
and 8.10.
I think you meant 9.8.
Oh, well, so on
Yes,
9.
9.8. Sorry, I am dyslexic.
Oh, 9.8. Okay.
Yes. And 10.2.
Okay, great. 9.8 and 10.2. Yeah, okay.
I probably was saying 8.9 for the last 10 minutes, so apologies to everyone.
I am less surprised.
Just to break the silence, can someone make a brief overview of the boot up troubleshooting. Say, my boot doesn't proceed, and I want to see whether it's on iPXE or on Dracut 1 stage or Dracut 2. At some point, say my BMC screen gets blank, and the IP address has not been picked up by a node. Then what would be like the first steps to do? Like setting up the kernel modules to make it like more verbose, or like looking into the logs or making the logs more verbose. So what would be kind of like the generic procedure to go with?
I have some strong opinions on this one. From pain, the first thing is to get your serial console working. I will work very, 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 very hard to get that serial console working because it will pay off at some point in time, even if you think it's trivial. That way you can capture it. You can post it to the Slack and get some help with it. And there will be details in there that you think are not important that other folks will pick up on that almost right away. So that's my number one step, is to get the serial console working so I can capture all the data. Step number 2 is remove quiet out of the kernel args to make sure that it's not doing things silently. And then that usually, and then add rc.debug, and that will drop you into a debugger right away when you're in the using the systemd. And that's helpful if you're using the 2-stage boot. And then the other thing would be turn systemd.debug on as well, but that's almost as a last resort. And then I would say make sure you can curl the endpoint for Warewulf. That's just an HTTP server, and you can look in the debugs what it's going to curl. Just make sure it curls with you. Look at all the configurations. So www control node list -a. You can list all those, and also make sure that you've run the image generation and the overlay generation, because if you forget to do that, bad things happen.
Okay.
But I mainly wanted to say get your serial console working first.
Okay, you mean serial console in BMC, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And make sure that the primary kernel is the serial kernel, right? So the kernel args, you have 2 of them. If always forget if it's the first one or the last one, I eliminate them all except for the serial one, so that you get a console on there and it doesn't hide it. Because if you get the wrong one, the debug messages will go out the front end and you won't see anything on the back end. So I want to get a nice clean serial boot all the way through so I can record those. And what I'll do is also I'll tee it to a log file. So if it clears the screen, I can look at actually in the log file as well. So I'll watch the boot with the log file as well as seeing it on the screen. And so I can see those hidden things. And that saved my butt like 3 or 4 times when there was a flash of, driver on the UEFI, driver unable to load or something like that, that you would think is just a benign error, was actually important. And when I went through the logs with less, I could see those particular errors.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry. And you mentioned about the kernel endpoint. Is it for just checking what's the stuff is on Warewulfd?
Yeah, just making sure that the things are working, that TFTP is working, that you're on the interface that you're thinking you're on, and those types of things. It's the first kind of basic stuff I go through to make sure that is the server working, is TFTP server working, is the node configured, those types of things.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
So yeah, something that I see a lot of people neglect to do is just looking at the server logs. So in modern versions of Warewulf, it just is logging via the systemd journal. So if you look at journalctl for warewulfd.service, or even just like sysctl status of the warewulfd service, you'll see logs coming out of there, and tailing that when a node is trying to boot is a good source of information. And then certainly on the Dracut side, we link specifically to this in the troubleshooting guide in the docs. There's a Dracut section here, so this is in the troubleshooting side here. These are the kernel args that we recommend. This turns debug on and then tells it to drop you into a Dracut shell if there's an error during Dracut. And then there's a log file that you can check from Dracut that's really verbose. It can be a lot to parse through, but that is where the answer is, if you can find it in there. And this guide here on the Fedora website is really good for Dracut debugging. It's what I use every time, and that's why I link to it from here. But this tells you like where that log file is and things in there.
Is
But
it specific?
between
Sorry for interrupting you, Jonathan. Is it specific to the two-stage boot with Dracut or?
Yes, yeah,
Okay.
that's a two-stage thing. So if you're using two-stage boot, then you're doing that with Dracut, and so then you would need the Dracut side. Otherwise, most of the information you need is in that werewolfd log. And the most frequent issue I think I see that that is otherwise inexplicable, people are surprised by it, is when they set their network device to F0, but it's not the one that the kernel picks for F0. So there's already an F0 and it's trying to rename a different one over the top of that name, and you get a conflict and it doesn't work. And so then it doesn't pick up its network config. That is something you can like learn to recognize where it's in the messages, like the startup process where it says that it tried to rename, but there was a conflict, so it didn't, and then it just keeps going. But that leads to doesn't get an IP address because the config is configured for the name you gave it. And so in that circumstance, just picking, I like to use the other names that, the predictable names like ENO1 or something like that, rather than the kernel names F0 or something like that. But it can be generally arbitrary. I think we've discovered that calling it default actually doesn't work, that some systems, maybe systemd, maybe it was the kernel, specifically do not want your network device to be called default. But other than that, it can be basically anything you want.
Yeah, I've learned not to use ETH0 just because it is so overloaded,
Yeah.
not to do that. So, Jonathan, I'm interested in what your feelings are. I personally have been leaning towards Dracut. I just do that all the time now because it seems to be more predictable and I have a better error recovery path. But you have way more experience in seeing things out in the field. What is your recommendation?
I set up Dracut first thing. I still have a to-do item to try and fix the single stage boot so that it doesn't have the problems that we're avoiding by going to Dracut. But as long as there's any possibility of that weird memory stuff that we see during single stage, I always go to Dracut. I wish that Dracut wasn't still like labeled as a tech preview, and we have work to do to make it a better initial user experience. And so that's something that I'm trying to get prioritized on the CIQ side. That we go back and clean up all of those tech preview level things and put nice UI like CLIs around them and things like that. But it's a far better experience once you get it working, far more consistent experience to do it with Dracut for sure.
Yeah, my problem with Dracut was that I'm essentially a Debian person, and Dracut is so Red Hatish, and I've been using mostly the RAMFS tools for modifying the RAM disks. And it took me a while to figure out how to get Dracut into Debian image, because there is no Werewolf Dracut that you would be able to run within the container.
Well, there is one now
is it?
in that package.
Right.
Yeah, and
Right,
I built that against 24.04, so I don't know what Debians it would work against, but it's worth looking into.
Okay, where can I find it?
So the actual build I think is not available publicly. I used a kind of one-off CI run, which just attached it to the run, and I don't think that's available everywhere. If you want copies of the debs, I can send them to you. Otherwise, you can build them yourself, and there's a pull request that has all of the CI and the scripts that build it in there.
Yeah, if you can post the link where you want to get the source.
I'll do that right now.
Thank you.
And there's nothing proprietary about the Dracut. You can actually just copy the Dracut files from the source file and then use them directly in the image. That's personally what I do. I don't bother going through the RPM anymore because they're just plain text files that you just drop them in the Dracut modules directory.
So it's not binary, right? So it's not binary.
There's no binary.
Okay, cool.
It's just a bunch of shell scripts, and it uses the fancy Dracut framework, which when I first looked at it, I got shivers, but it's really seems to be well done and well behaved for an environment that is built around a whole bunch of bash shells that are sourcing each other infinitum. So I've had good luck with developing my own modules and using that framework. So you just copy the modules over and it'll just work.
Oh, okay, cool. Thank you.
But help testing the debs would be wonderful because more and more folks are going to the
Sure.
Ubuntu route these days, and so we want to make Debian a first-class citizen when it comes to packaging.
Yeah, Debian is nice, especially since more and more people are running Proxmox server for LXC, and which is Debian based. So the default containers come as LXC. And actually, I'm running my Warewulf controller on a Debian LXC container. So Debian would be nice to be fully supported. And
Yeah. And when I say Debian, I also mean Ubuntu as well. So
yeah, they essentially similar. One works, then something works on one, it will work on the other. Thank you, gentlemen.
Did you get the link, Alexi, that Jonathan posted in the chat?
Yeah, I just copied it. Thank you, Jonathan.
And then, since people are here, I am curious to know if they can access. I'll get the link to the actual debs and see if it's something that everyone can see from here. So like I said, you may or may not be able to access this, but this is where the x86 debs are, and I'd be interested to know if that downloads for you.
Oh, cool. Nope, doesn't work for me.
Yeah,
That's
I'm
all
not.
right.
Oh, Shane can see it though. Interesting.
yeah, I think I probably could see it as well, but I'm guessing that
Yeah.
people that are not logged in or do not have certain privileges on the repo can't.
Okay.
Oh, Bill can see it. So maybe you just have to log in as are you log in as a GitHub user?
I see what you mean. Yeah, I'll log in. Right.
I've noticed that they've been starting to really crank down on public
Yeah.
access to things. You need to actually be logged in these days.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I'll try after login. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll show where that's coming from because that's interesting to know that people are able to see that. So, this is an action that I fired off by hand. So it's a release action that I ran against the deb package branch. And so if you come in here and you find the build of the debs, here's where it uploaded it, and here's the artifact download URL for that. So if you wanted AArch ones, if you wanted AArch versions, those are here. And so in a real release, if this was against a tag with a V prefix, then this release job would have run as well and created a release and attached it to it. But since this was just against a branch, it skipped that part.
Cool. Well, thank you, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. I think maybe if there aren't any more comments and questions, maybe Jonathan will see you at ISC coming up. What's the dates on that?
What? So the 21st through the 26th is when I'll be there.
June?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And then the end of July, same-ish time, the end of July is Perk in, I think it's in Minneapolis, right?
That's correct.
Yeah. End of July. So that will be awesome. And we'll see you in the Slack. Eben, I actually went to go tag you in the Slack channel, but I didn't see you. So I don't know. You had mentioned having questions. So I just want to make sure that you have access to the Warewulf Slack channel.
I think I still need to go connect my accounts to various things.
Okay.
I will join.
Okay, good. Yeah, because that's a really good place where all of these guys are and many
Right.
more. So as you are setting things up and doing your testing and what the heck is going on. There was also, I think we actually talked about it at one of the WUGs too. Maybe I'll see if I can, if we recorded that one where it was talking about, kind of very specifically going from Bright Cluster Manager to Warewulf and kind of,
Okay.
some things to consider and stuff. So there's a lot
Perfect.
of help for you there.
Yeah, the Slack
Alright,
is
sounds good. Thank
great.
you.
The Slack is great, and that's a good place for debugging with the community issues that are going on, and that's why the recommendation to get serial console dumps is so that you can get the show the logs of the server, this, that, and the other, and you can ask intelligent questions other than it's not working.
Right.
Exactly. Point. Okay. Well, wonderful. Thank you again, everybody, and we'll see you next month, same time, same place. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you. Bye.
Have a good one.
Bye-bye.